What's going on, guys? It's Graham here, and today I'm going to tell you why you should get your fertilizer done on your lawn. So let's take a look at our spring fertilizer and what we have. So we use a granular fertilizer, and the contents are 32, 1, 10. Now what those numbers represent is the 32 is your nitrogen content, 1 would be your phosphorus content, and 10 is going to be your potassium content. Now, to get your green lawn in the spring kick-started and growing, you want to have a high nitrogen content fertilizer. And so that's what we have here. We also use, though, a slow release fertilizer. And what this means is, although it's high in nitrogen, it's not going to burn your lawn. So you don't have to worry about having burn spots or brown spots over your lawn after we fertilize it. Now, it's a granular fertilizer, and what I mean by granulars are they're little pebbles that look like this. And so we put them in this hopper, and the spreader goes around and spreads it evenly over your lawn. Now, as a slow release, it's going to be 8 to 10 weeks that it lasts in your lawn. That way, you don't have to fertilize it constantly like you would if it was a liquid fertilizer. Another great thing about the fertilizer we use is it has iron in it. What iron does is it actually darkens up your lawn, so you get that nice dark green lawn. If you want to decide to fertilize your lawn yourself, here's a couple quick tips that you can use to make sure you get the best out of the fertilizer you have and the best results for your lawn. So one of the first things you want to do is make sure you pick the right fertilizer. As I mentioned earlier, you want to check and see what the nitrogen, phosphorus, and potassium contents are. Now the numbers represent a percentage of what that fertilizer is made up of. In spring, you want to make sure you have a fertilizer with a higher nitrogen content. Conversely, in the fall, you don't want high nitrogen. The reason being, you want your grass to begin hibernating. You don't want it to start growing and expending all of its energy when frost is upon us. So spring, high nitrogen; fall, low nitrogen. Now, when you have your fertilizer picked out, the next thing is that you need a way to spread it. Now, you don't need a complicated or expensive spreader like this. You can get away with a Home Depot special for 50 bucks. It'll do the same thing, and as a homeowner, you're not going to be using it on hundreds of yards. It's just your own yard, and it'll be fine. What you want to do next is check and see what the settings are on your spreader and match that to the back of the fertilizer bag that you have. Alright, so you want to match the settings on your spreader to the fertilizer that you have. Usually you can find that on the back of the fertilizer bag. If you're not sure, just look it up on the internet, and it should have what you want to set your spreader at depending on the brand of spreader that you have. Now, the next thing you want to do is get ready to actually spread your fertilizer. So you want to look at the casting pattern of your fertilizer spreader and how wide that actually is. This fertilizer spreader is 6 feet on either side, so 12 feet wide. So when we're going to do passes, we would do 12 feet apart for each pass. Now, if you have a smaller fertilizer spreader, it might only be 2 or 3 feet. So you would double that and do 6-foot passes. What you want to make sure you're doing is having a slight overlap on the edge of each pass so that your fertilizer is even, but you don't want to be too close so that you have too much fertilizer and you end up damaging your lawn. Now, we just finished doing this customer's yard. Let's go take a look and see what their lawn looks like. So as you can see, now this customer has had a fall fertilizer application, and what that's allowed is their lawn to already look green, as opposed to next door where the lawn is brown. Now, the fertilizer that we put down today is going to take a couple of days and even a week or a week and a half to start doing its thing. So what we're going to do is a revisit of the property in about 4 to 6 weeks to see what the lawn does and compare it from now until then. And what you'll notice is the lawn is considerably thicker. There's a couple brown spots, but the lawn's already in good health. But the lawn's going to be a lot greener and a lot darker green. And so by fertilizing it, you're giving the nutrients the lawn needs to keep growing. Now, there's other alternatives instead of using a chemical fertilizer like the granules I showed. One of those alternatives is by using topsoil, or a combination. We would use something like a 4-way mix. Now, in 4-way mix, the soil is going to have black earth as well as other contents like compost, and that's going to help feed your lawn in an organic and natural way. So there's different options to fertilizing your lawn. All right guys, so if you haven't already signed up for our spring fertilizer program or core aerations, now's the time to let us get your yard looking this good.